tin tin tak da din din da tin tin tak dina di dina tina di dina din tak dina tuna katta tak dina din din da din din tak dina katin tak dina tak da din din da tin tin tak dina di dina tina di dina din tak dina tuna katta tak dina. I right now see Khadija Bakhtiar, who is the founding CEO and current CEO of Teach for Pakistan.
Dr. Faisal, we are unable to hear you. Do you want this hand mic?
Hello.
Would you like to have this one?
माइक के ऊपर बैठना पड़ेगा जी, फिर क्लोजर तो जी. अच्छा जी, ये बेहतर है जी. हाँ जी. अच्छा, सो पहले मेरे साथ बैठी हैं खदीजा बख्तियार. She is the founding and current CEO for Teach for Pakistan. Teach for Pakistan works out of Federal Capital and KP, and now is in Karachi as well. So welcome, Khadija. And I see Myra Murad Khan standing. Please, Myra, do join us. Myra is works for the global practice in education at the World Bank. Has more than 12 years of experience working in the education area, internationally, globally as well. We are supposed to be joined by, जो आप नाम देख रहे हैं, नदीम गनी साहब. आइए प्लीज़ नदीम साहब. Nadeem Saab is founding partner and current dean for Nixer College in Karachi. और फैसल मुश्ताक साहब मुझे अभी तक नज़र नहीं आए थे. मे बी he'll be here during our conversation. Faisal Saab is the CEO for Roots Millennium School, which is one of the high-fee private schools networks in the country. So without sort of waiting for Faisal Saab to join, सवा दो का टाइम था, अभी 2-3 मिनट तो हैं, but we might as well start the conversation. The idea would be to talk about the issue that we are going to discuss for maybe 1 or 2 rounds of questions, and then of course we'll open it up to the audience for their questions and any feedback that might be relevant for the session. So are we listening to our youth? आदत तो नहीं है हमें किसी को भी सुनने की, यूथ हो या कोई और हो, सुनने की आदत तो नहीं. बट इफ़ इट्स स्पेशली यूथ, given we know Pakistan's demographics, we are a very young country. I think the second youngest in the world, other than Afghanistan, maybe third, or among the youngest in the world. And so just by the sheer fact of how many young people do we have, Faisal Saab, please, Tashreef laiye. We should be listening to our youth, right? लेकिन 2017-18 में भी I co-authored a report with Adil Najam Saab on called the Pakistan Human Development Report, और उसमें we had done surveys of youth, etc. And when we asked the same questions about even then, so the answer was very clear. We never listen to the youth, we never give them the representation that is required to be given to them. We are not aware of many of the issues that the youth face. And some of the numbers that came out from that report, which are relevant even today, would be very interesting for you guys to see. ये UNDP की वेबसाइट पे भी पढ़ी है रिपोर्ट, अगर कभी आपको मौका मिले ज़रूर देखिएगा कि भाई 80-85% यूथ कहता है कि वो उन्होंने आज तक कभी एक कॉन्सर्ट नहीं देखा, कभी वो पब्लिक पार्क नहीं गए, किसी लाइब्रेरी में नहीं गए हुए, कोई कम्यूनल या कम्युनिटी बेस्ड स्पोर्ट्स एक्टिविटीज़ में इन्वॉल्व नहीं है, वगैरह वगैरह. द यूथ आइसोलेशन is in itself a huge phenomena, and that does not bode well for the country when we know कि हम ये कह रहे हैं कि कल का जो लीडर है, जो जिसने पाकिस्तान कल चलाना है, वो ये यूथ हैं. अगर उनकी बात नहीं सुन रहे, उनके मसाइल नहीं समझ रहे, तो how are we going to move forward? So that's the background. And of course दुनिया बहुत तेज़ी से बदल रही है, एक वो भी साइड है. सो यही नहीं कि हम यूथ को सुन नहीं रहे, पर दूसरी तरफ दुनिया तेज़ी से बदल. सो हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू वर्क आउट दिस imbalance that we have? So let me start from Myra, if I may direct the first question to you. what is happening around the world in terms of trends in learning, what is changing. We keep hearing about 21st century skills and flana and what will happen when AI is here fully and the world will change completely. तो वो क्या चेंजेस हैं जो लर्निंग में, एजुकेशन में, पूरी दुनिया में आ रहे हैं, जो वी शुड बी वेरी कॉग्निजेंट अबाउट in terms of how we think about learning for youth?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. So thank you so much for having me. This is such an important topic, and I mainly work in public policy at the World Bank in education. So I'll talk a bit more about the public policy side of some of these things. So, it's a huge global issue. Are we sufficiently preparing our youth for tomorrow? No, we're probably not. But are we doing the best we can? And have we learned a lot about learning in the past few decades? And the answer to that is yes. So I'll just break apart those two things very quickly. So as Dr. Bari said, of course, the world is changing faster than we can keep up. That's not something that is just affecting schools. That's affecting all of us in terms of technology, in terms of what's happening with AI, and the exponential rate at which AI is growing. The issue with some of our education systems is that education systems, particularly public education systems, tend to be very sticky because bureaucracy is very sticky. It takes a lot of time to get real meaningful change passed, especially if you think about things like designing curriculum and designing a curriculum that is based on the future. A curriculum is designed sort of for a one-year plan for taking students through grade 4 to grade 5, and then within that it's also designed to take students through an entire sort of primary school or secondary school. So when you have something that is designed for an entire year, there's no way that you can kind of interject in the middle of a school year immediately. Although I'm sure some of my colleagues on this panel are probably trying to do some of that, working with students in schools. But the stickiness and the length of time in which it takes to implement an actual curriculum, it's very difficult to try and keep up with the fast pace at which technology is adapting. So this is a challenge almost every single education system is facing around the world, even high-performing systems. And then the second thing I said is, are we doing the best we can to try and learn? I mean, yes, I've seen how our approach to learning at the World Bank has changed over the past 10 years. Even in a couple of decades ago, it was very much focused on schooling, and the conversations are about getting kids in school, and we have 50% enrollment, now 60, 70, and then the huge conversation changed when we started realizing schooling is not learning. You can't just put a kid in school and assume that they are learning. So that has been really profound. First of all, that happened maybe 10 years ago, this big shift. And then the second big shift now that's happening is like, what are they actually learning? Are those translating into skills that are actually needed out in the world? So the third kind of topic that I wanted to talk about, and maybe in the second round I can go into it more, is I've done a lot of work on sort of skills development for youth, sort of from 15 to 24. And of course, I don't believe the only purpose of education is getting a job or something in the workforce, but then there is a huge mismatch all over the world about the skills that employers say that they are looking for and the skills that our youth are leaving education systems with. I've been part of maybe 6 or 7 countries where we've engaged a lot of employers and just asking employers, what are the skills and how do you find the graduates from universities or even technical vocational education programs, how do you find them and what skills, what do you think about the skills they're leaving education systems with? And there's not a single employer that says, yes, everything is going fine in any country in the world. They're saying, yes, they are lacking a lot of these skills. Just to piece that apart for 1 second, no employer is expecting that these students are going to come pre-prepared knowing what a telecom business does or what a auto manufacturing business does. But the number one thing that they're saying a lot of our students don't have is the soft skills. And the soft skills are things that a lot of people argue, I've done a lot of work in this as well, are the basis of all the other skills. And especially important when you talk about skills like grit and resilience, which are a little bit controversial, but those are seen as the skills that build on all the other skills. Soft skills as well, most of our education systems don't teach them. A lot of the times we take them for granted, we're learning them at home, and then this creates a huge disparity between students in low-income communities versus students in high-income communities who have much better family environments and things like that where they're learning these skills. skills. So happy to talk about that more. But
Thank you, Myra. Faisal Saab, if I may now come to you. Clearly, Roots Millennium, at a certain fee level, with some more resources than some of our public schools have. How are you responding to the challenge from K1 to finishing up around O levels and A levels to the changing demands that education, advanced education, as well as the world is now bringing?
Thank you so much, Dr. Faisal Bari, and thank you, Karachi Literature Festival. I'll respond to the question, and if you allow me to speak on the topic. Are we listening to our youth in Pakistan? We are not listening. We are in fact whistling, and we are trying to shame them. We are trying to bully them. We are misguiding them. So are we listening? Not at all. 70% of the country's population is under the age of 30 years. Now that makes Pakistan one of the largest youth cohorts in the world. Is that youth cohort a discovery or a disaster? Now, in absence of fundamental right to education, literacy, inclusive and human and social development and employability, how can your youth be a discovery? Clearly, with 25 million out-of-school children, with lack of equity and access to primary and universalization of education and rights, so we need to look at it. What are the main challenges? Three major challenges. A, the youth is unemployed. B, the education system is outdated. We are clearly the privileged ones. The education that we are giving to our students does not truly define and reflect the diversity of Pakistan and the needs that we have as a nation state. And the third thing that we need is we have an outdated education system, unemployability. And the third thing is lack of vocational and technical education. No nation in the country can progress. We used to have metric techs in your times, metric tech. We used to have intermediate tech. We have undone metric tech. We have undone matriculation tech. You used to have NCC in your colleges for your civil rights and for your practice as a citizenry. So what do we have? We have disparities. We don't have an equitable and an inclusive education system in Pakistan. The education system is dated, it is regimented, it is factory modeled, it is non-scientific, and it is lacking compassion, equity, inclusion, diversity, and access. So how do we deal with that? A, we need to put the policy. So there are three things which the state has to do. Never expect, when it talk about education and youth, don't expect anything from Islamabad. Education after 18th Amendment is a provincial subject, and hence education and human development lies with provinces. So the provinces, they must invest in terms of their political will. The biggest thing is you need the political will. Then you need the social skill, the right-minded people with the government and the policy makers, and then the government must pay the bill. So the GDP as a percentage allocation to education for the nation and for the country is absolutely pathetic. Though we are investing in human infrastructure, a lot of people talk about CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. For me, CPEC should be Citizens of Pakistan Education Corridor. Which nation and country can move forward in the Global Committee of Nations with such declining literacy and human development rates? Ladies and gentlemen, and the Literature Festival audience, remember, when people are born, they are born as subjects. They're not born as citizens. When you are born as an alien. It is the literacy, it is the education, it is your social contract and commitment to citizenry and society that transforms aliens into citizens. So if the nation state needs to move forward, invest less in infrastructure, invest more in human capital and human resource infrastructure. So thank you all. And to answer the question, what are we doing? We are a 40-year-old teaching and learning legacy. It's a great school. We charge fees, and children from privileged backgrounds, they attend our schools. We have STEM education. We have German languages. We have foreign languages. We have English, Urdu. We celebrate life, campus facilities, amenities. We discover, we do everything, all what a student would need. But am I the solution to Pakistan? So here I'm going to talk about Pakistan, not our education system, because we are doing a lot of things, but I feel that this is causing bigger damage because we want a whole nation state to come out of it. We don't want this difference and lack of equity to go that big, so that we have different kinds of citizens, one coming out of madrasa, other coming out of an entitled, privileged, elite school, and one coming out of the public education system, and the other kids on the street. So it is a collective responsibility. Governments are rich, they show and they give a reason that they are not rich. They have a lot of money, and they're spending that money must go. There should be a national call to action. Thank you.
बहुत शुक्रिया फैसल साहब. So we'll come, Khadija, to the a large part of the public sector again. वो आपसे भी बात करते हैं. But Nadeem साहब, if I may come to you, Nixer College works with A-level students and prepares them for university. यूनिवर्सिटी एजुकेशन भी बहुत ज़्यादा बदल रही है, उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट्स भी, और अब हम क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं. कुछ ये भी कहते हैं जी देयर इज़ माइक्रो क्रेडेंशलिंग, तो यूनिवर्सिटी जाने की ज़रूरत ही क्या है, वो 4 साल 6 साल, मैं तो खैर 10 साल लगाए थे पीएचडी करते करते. उन्होंने कहा व्हाट अ वेस्ट, अब क्या ज़रूरत है ये सब चीज़ों की. सो थिंग्स आर चेंजिंग फास्ट. नाउ हाउ आर यू प्रिपेयरिंग स्टूडेंट्स फॉर व्हाट इज़ कमिंग टुमारो. एजुकेशन का एक बहुत बड़ा ये इशू है ना कि द गाइज हु टीच, मेरे जैसे, वो कल उन्होंने पढ़ा, दे वर ट्रेन्ड येस्टरडे, they teach today for a population that is going to be ready for tomorrow, and that in itself is has tremendous contradiction in it. So how are you helping resolve some of that through your A-level studies?
Thank you, Dr. Bari, and thank you for coming to listen to us. Before I answer your question, I did want to add to something that that Mr. Faisal said, and I think it's fair to expect more from the public sector, from the government, and at the same time, I think it is very it's easy for us to blame not us. Is this better? Yep. So I'll start again. So what I was saying is, look, Mr. Faisal made a very good point that the public sector, the government, should do a lot more, and there's a lot more investment that needs to take place to enable our youth to rise to the potential that they have. And there's no two opinions about that. There's no two thoughts about that. I fully agree with that. But there's also an element of being a little self-critical, which I feel we sometimes miss. And the demographic that I can speak intelligently about, again, like Faisal, Nixer's demographic is upper middle class. And sometimes I feel that families, us, right? I'm speaking myself and all of us here. I don't think we're willing to take responsibility for our own stake in this, right? And when we think about making decisions and allowing and listening to our youth, I think parents in particular, sometimes two factors drive why they don't. One is, I feel grown-ups are not comfortable watching their kids struggle a little bit. And I think Ms. Myra made a point on that about grit. Grit comes from experiencing life from a lot of different perspectives, not just from when things go right. And I think we jump in way too quickly as grown-ups in the lives of our children, don't allow them the opportunity to learn from struggle. So जो training wheels हमारे लगे हुए होते हैं, वो हम बहुत देर तक लगा के रखते हैं until the kid gets to the point that they're not interested in listening to us. All right, so that's one reason why I think we're just maybe toxic charity, a little overdose of compassion. We don't hold our kids accountable. If you're going to allow them to make decisions, those decisions and choices should come with accountability. And I think parents and grown-ups jump in too quickly. The second is, I feel we are reluctant to listen because our households are multi-generational, and the eldest, the patriarch in the family, would likely be making decisions still while their kids are into their 50s even, right? So in order to maintain that decision making structure and framework, I think sunna mushkil hota hai grown-ups ke liye. So these are two factors that I come across all the time, even though I feel that we're getting better, but I still feel there's a long way to go, and it's just as much a private sector, a familial issue, as it is a government issue. Now, Dr. Bari mentioned our schools, A-level schools, colleges preparing well for university. I think it's very difficult to, maybe a year and a half ago, we were telling our kids that if you don't know coding, aap bas bhul jaye, nahi hoga kuch. And then within weeks that changed, literally within weeks, that now nobody needs to know that, because that will be taken care of. You need to know how to do prompt engineering. So things are changing so rapidly that any curriculum that we design, okay, I think if it's about content, we're not preparing the kids for the right thing. I'll give you an example. Are we teaching our kids how to think critically, right? अब जितने A's, A stars पाकिस्तानी students के आते हैं, शायद ही किसी और मुल्क के आते होंगे. So our measure in elite schools is distinctions, world distinctions, A stars. And I think both Roots and Nixer were in a position to be very selective about students that we take in. So A stars, A's के नीचे मुश्किल हो जाता है बच्चे के लिए. But in an interview, if you were to ask a kid who's done science, STEM, right? Math, add math, chemistry, computer science, physics, क्या मुझे बताएं एक मीटर कितना बड़ा होता है? Now you would expect that kid to know the answer to that, and 100% of the time they get that right. It's 100 centimeters. But if I tell them, show me, हाथ से बताएं, right? कितना बड़ा एक मीटर होता है? More than 50% of the time they have zero clue. Zero, right? अब physics में अगर आपका A star आ रहा है, कितने सवाल होंगे which start with an object is moving at 10 meters per second. If you have no idea how big a meter is, you can't envision the problem. You can't visualize. 10 meters per second, is that a Ferrari? Is that a tortoise? And if you can't envision the problem, how would you sanity check your answer, right? So how is it that these kids get A stars? Because we've made padhai only about grades which you can get by doing 20, 30 years of past papers. May, June ke alag hote hain, har session ke 3 variants hote hain. So even physics we are rote learning, right? So the answer to your question is, I think we've got to de-emphasize A stars, and we've got to truly start working on problems of life, let them lead teams, let them make decisions, let them, be held accountable for the decisions and choices that they're making. And once they're able to do that, I think the kind of opportunities that they get post-college, they will be able to do a lot more with it. So I think we've just got to allow our kids to make some more mistakes than we have the courage so far to do. So that's what I said.
Thank you very much. That was very well put. Acha, Khadija, so I mean everyone here knows obviously कि 18वीं तरमीम जो थी हमारे आइन में जिसके तनाजुर में ज़्यादातर लोग बात करते हैं वो 2010 अप्रैल 2010 में हुई थी. That's when we added the 25th Article 25A to the Constitution, right, which says the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all 5 to 16-year-olds in the country. Free and compulsory, right? That promise was built into the what is called the basic rights section of the Constitution. Prior to that, prior to the 18th Amendment, this was part of the articles. So Article 37 which was not part of the basic right. लेकिन वो 2010 में हमने किया, 14 साल हो गए हैं, इस अप्रैल पिछले में फिर हमने इमरजेंसी लगाने की कोशिश की एजुकेशन में कि भाई इमरजेंसी एजुकेशन में लगे, कुछ नहीं किया हमने ना। फैसल साहब ने बात की 26 मिलियन बच्चा 5 से 16 तक स्कूलों से बाहर है। वर्ल्ड बैंक ये कह रहा है कि हमारी लर्निंग पावर्टी यानी 10 साल की उम्र के बच्चे को जो आना चाहिए वो उन्हें आता है, यानी 77% लर्निंग पावर्टी है, यानी जो स्कूल से बाहर हैं वो अलग, जो स्कूल में हैं वो भी कुछ नहीं सीख रहे। सो दोनों तरफ आप देखें तो हालात बहुत बुरे हैं। एंड खदीजा, सो I'm coming to you because you run Teach for Pakistan. Your fellows work in government schools, mostly or very low fee schools, but mostly government schools, right? And there the struggle is not even कि भाई learning कैसे बदल रहे हैं, redesign कर रहे हैं, वहाँ तो अभी basics हम नहीं दे पा रहे कि मैथ, साइंस, अंग्रेज़ी, उर्दू कैसे सिखानी है और उन बच्चों को किस तरह से। तो ये जो फासला हम बात कर रहे हैं, जो नदीम साहब ने बात की कि किस तरह दुनिया बदल रही है, या फैसल साहब ने और मायरन, इस फासले में फिर अब हम क्या करें उन तमाम बच्चों के लिए जो ना स्कूलों में हैं या उन स्कूलों में हैं जहाँ पे तालीम का मेयार बहुत ही बुरा है। सो हाउ डू यू सी दैट प्रॉब्लम? व्हाट विल बी सम ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट वी नीड टू थिंक अबाउट देम? जी,
थैंक यू फैसल। आई थिंक मेरे लिए बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग था बाकी पैनलिस्ट की बात सुनना। मैं जब सुन रही थी तो मुझे ख्याल आ रहा था एक कि इन सम सेंसेस हमें नज़र आता है कि वो फासला between what we are able to, the kind of educational experience we are able to currently provide to our students, to our children and our young people who go to government schools and colleges, and the kind of education that every child and young person has the right to deserve, you know, and ask for, wo बढ़ रहा है. But as I was listening to the other panelists, I was realizing that in some ways, you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same, because what all of them are saying is, the world is changing very fast, and the kind of knowledge and skills that we have to learn as children and young people today are changing very fast. But if you look a little bit deeper than that, surface से नीचे एक तय और नीचे चले जाएं तो आपको नज़र आता है कि जो कोर थी वो वही विजडम है जो कि हमें सदियों से पता है कि बच्चों को और यंग लोगों को किस चीज़ की ज़रूरत है. और वो हमें इसलिए पता है क्योंकि those of us who are not educators are still people who have been in caregiving roles for kids, perhaps our own, right? And I think the question to me, it's quite simple when we think about हमारे बच्चों को या हमारे यंग लोगों को जो किसी गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में जाते हैं या लो फी प्राइवेट स्कूल में जाते हैं या किसी नॉन प्रॉफिट स्कूल में जाते हैं, जो कि मेजॉरिटी हमारे मुल्क के बच्चा इसी तरह के स्कूलों में पढ़ रहा है, उसको किस चीज़ की ज़रूरत है, तो उसका जवाब वही है कि हम अपने बच्चे के लिए क्या चाहते हैं एक्चुअली. सो जिन स्किल्स की बात हो रही थी, that every child and every young person deserves to be able to master the core academic hardcore knowledge and skills that our kids need, जिसके ऊपर बाकी सारी स्किल्स ने बिल्ड होना है. यू नो, दिस अंग्रेज़ी, मैथ, साइंस, उर्दू ज़बान की जो फाउंडेशन है उसके ऊपर बाकी सारी स्किल्स ने बिल्ड होना है. मगर उसके साथ साथ और क्या चीज़ें हैं, जिस रेजिलियंस की बात हो रही थी, ग्रिट की बात हो रही थी, एंड अ कपल ऑफ अदर थिंग्स दैट I'll mention in a second, वो इन सम वेज वो वही चीज़ें हैं जो हमें बहुत अरसे से पता है कि वो क्या चीज़ें हैं. आई थिंक टीच फॉर पाकिस्तान का इसमें एक्सपीरियंस बड़ा एक इंटरेस्टिंग था, एंड I'd like to share that. हमारी पुरानी विजन स्टेटमेंट कहती थी, one day all children in Pakistan will have an education that enables them to fulfill their true potential. फिर कुछ साल पहले हमने सोचना शुरू किया कि इसका मतलब क्या है, ट्रू पोटेंशियल का मतलब क्या है. ये इतना एक अजीब सा जारगनी सा लफ्ज़ है, व्हाट डज दैट मीन. एंड देन वी डिसाइडेड कि बात हम सुन रहे हैं अपने बच्चों की और अपने यंग लोगों की और उन यंग टीचर्स की जो हमारे बच्चों को पढ़ा रहे हैं. व्हाट डू दे से अबाउट व्हाट डू किड्स एंड यंग पीपल एक्चुअली वांट, राइट? व्हाट इज द एजुकेशन दैट दे वांट? And when we started really paying attention, we started hearing a lot of these things that researchers have been telling us for a long time kids want, because kids know how they thrive, right? And they can experience that. And their educators, when they see kids thriving, are able to tell you what is working in their classrooms that is enabling these kids to thrive. And so apart from the stuff that's already mentioned are other things that are also going to make a lot of intuitive sense. Joy. Kids want to experience joy in their learning. Kids want to be challenged. Young people want to be challenged. They want to be inspired by a vision that is ambitious for their own lives. They want to be inspired by a vision for their community that actually has a role carved out for this young person to exert agency and shape that community that they're going to live in, that they're already living in. And so all of these kind of real life problems that we're talking about, I think that is what our kids and young people say that they want, and I think that is really the challenge before us today. So मेरी नज़र में अब जो हम लर्निंग क्राइसिस की हम बहुत बात करते हैं और करनी चाहिए, मगर अनर्थ ये हो रहा है कि असल में मुश्किल ये है कि शायद रियाजी अंग्रेज़ी सिखा देना, उसकी बेसिक्स शायद ज़्यादा आसान काम है. जो ये हैं ओरिएंटेशंस टू लाइफ, कि हम बच्चे को सिर्फ नॉट टू रीड द वर्ड बट टू रीड द वर्ल्ड एज फ्रेरे सेड, वो हमने कैसे करना है. आई थिंक दैट इज़ आवर ग्रेटेस्ट चैलेंज, राइट. बिकॉज हमारे बच्चों को जब हमने एक चीज़ देखी है जो अब प्रूव हो गई है विद द ईयर्स ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस दैट वीव हैड, कि जब आप बच्चे को टूल्स दे देते हैं अपनी ज़िंदगी के सर्कमस्टांसेस को समझने की और ख़ुद अपनी लर्निंग को आगे एक्सेलरेट करने की, तो बच्चा जो अकॉम्प्लिश करेगा उसके साथ वो शायद हम इस वक्त इमेजिन भी नहीं कर सकते, राइट. सो गोइंग बैक टू द कोर फिलोसफी ऑफ एजुकेशन, दैट व्हाट ऑल वी आर डूइंग एज एजुकेटर्स इज फैसिलिटेटिंग, राइट. जो गोल्ड है वो तो उनके अंदर ऑलरेडी है, दैट्स ऑल वी आर डूइंग इज फैसिलिटेटिंग, राइट. एंड सो आई थिंक फैसल, आई थिंक जो आपने सवाल पूछा उसका सिंपल जवाब मेरे पास तो सिर्फ यही है कि वी हैव टू पे वेरी क्लोज अटेंशन टू how things actually change at the classroom and the school level, and when we pay that attention, we are able to realize the tremendous potential of our children, the tremendous potential of our educators to help our children in getting what they want, which is ultimately to receive an education that will grow them into loving, thinking and engaged human beings.
नदीम साहब, अगर मैं आपके पास पहले आऊँ, क्योंकि एक इंस्टीट्यूशन निक्स है, और मैं ये पूछना चाहूँ कि इंस्टीट्यूशनली आर देयर मैकेनिज़म्स दैट यू यूटिलाइज टू लिसन टू द यूथ. आपके पास तो बच्चे बड़े होते हैं ना, वो 16, 17, 18 साल के. फिर मैं फैसल साहब के पास भी जाऊँगा सवाल विद अ वेरी डिफरेंट रेंज ऑफ किड्स. लेकिन ये बताइए कि आर देयर इंस्टीट्यूशनल मैकेनिज़म्स दैट अलाउ देम टू ग्रो अप इन द वे दैट अभी खदीजा भी कह रही थी और जिसका जिक्र आपने भी और मायरा ने भी किया, ग्रेट. ये वो स्कूल में अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ उन्हें मिलती हैं इस तरह की सेल्फ गवर्नेंस, आप लोगों के साथ बातचीत, हाउ डू यू डिफाइन सब्जेक्ट्स, हाउ डू यू क्रिएट द फ्यूचर, हाउ डू यू think about what should be done in classrooms, etc. वो formal mechanisms हैं कोई, और वो क्या हैं?
Sure. So my association with Nixer goes to 2008 when it was founded, but in 2015 we also introduced a primary school called Civitas, and the culture in both age groups, चाहे वो primary, pre-primary ka ho ya A-levels ka ho, the culture is the same. Obviously, tactically, it's different, working with a 17, 18-year-old boy or girl versus a 5, 6-year-old. But if we start at 5, 6, at that age, how do we listen? By policy, teachers have to define their environment for the kid, that is this a one pushback environment or a zero pushback environment. The student has the right to challenge everything that's said respectfully. So let's say if the teacher says that, I think now we should conclude this discussion time. The group has the right to push back and say, Miss, can we take another 5 minutes? And if the teacher says yes, fine. If the teacher says no, that's where it ends. But it is important in our culture to allow the student to push back, right? Another framework in terms of choices in listening to them, their uniform, for example, right? They have 5 colored shirts, and it's not blue on Monday and red on Tuesday. It is any color on any day. So even a 2-year-old has the choice to say, but today I feel like it is purple, right? And when we make choices for these kids, हमने इनके लिए color choose किया था bubblegum pink. And every year they get to vote. 5 colors हैं, एक color को ये retire करते हैं और दूसरा कलर ये इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं, राइट? और ये शुरू भी थोड़ा यूनियन इन्होंने बना लिया था, पहले 4 थे शर्ट्स, फिर यूनियन उन्होंने सारे ग्रेड 4 ने पर्चे पे सिग्नेचर्स लिए, दे इंट्रोड्यूस्ड अ न्यू शर्ट, बट द कलर दे रिटायर्ड was bubblegum pink. The color they introduced was charcoal gray. Never, if somebody gave me 100 guesses what the kids would want, I would never have picked charcoal gray, right? So the point is, I'm often surprised by what kids are thinking and what we think they're thinking. Okay, number one. Number two, अब आप अगर बड़ों पे आ जाएं, there are many decisions that the school can make, but we choose to outsource that to students. एक example इसकी है कि भाई cafeteria में prices क्या होंगी. The students जो भी profit बनता है वो इनके ही projects में जाता है. So they choose the vendor, they determine the price, and एक दफ़ा इन्होंने, because the students were wasting ketchup, they said कि भाई अब 5 रुपए लगेंगे आपको ketchup के लिए. Instantly, what we call the ketchup riot, right? It was students guiding and determining their own destiny. And one final point that I want to make on this is from that budget, इनके बहुत सारी चीज़ों से students earn the money to have a budget. The budget goes in close to almost 10 million a year that is managed by student government. They raise it themselves. We have a concept called matching grants, which means if the student government decides that, look, here's a student that we feel should join Nixer, but they're not able to afford it, we will give them 5,000 rupees a month. The policy dictates that without asking any question, we would match it, right? But we won't say, hey, how many sarif denge? When the students put in their own resources without questions that we match. तो मैं कहने का मकसद ये था that there are lots and there can be so many more. But the biggest thing that we've got to make peace with is not every decision these kids make will be right, and they should be held accountable for decisions that are right or they're wrong, but we still need to allow them to make these decisions, whatever the consequence. So yes, there are lots of mechanisms, and I feel the first point that I made, the grown-ups' discomfort with letting go of control, I think in our society is a lot greater than in other places that I've lived, and I lived for 20 years outside of Pakistan, and yahan pe I feel we micromanage way too much. Yep.
Thank you. फैसल साहब, इसी सवाल की एक्सटेंशन, इन बहुत ज़्यादा कॉमन ये आता है कि भाई जो नदीम साहब ने भी बात की कि ओवर प्रोटेक्टेड, सुबह स्कूल आया बच्चा गाड़ी में, सारा दिन स्कूल में रहा या दोपहर तक और फिर घर चला गया, फिर बाहर नहीं आया, कम्युनिटी में इंटरेक्शन नहीं है. एंड दिस गोज़ स्पेशली फॉर जिन्हें वो डेरोगेटरी कई दफ़ा तरीके से हम कहते हैं बर्गर बच्चे और ये वो. तो what is it the school does which can bring in the great resilience and taking the hard knocks of any life that will come, obviously, उसके लिए स्कूल क्या कर सकता है?
Thank you, Dr. Bari. School can do a lot actually. And I'll answer this question. The question is that a lot of people expect a lot from schools, and schools expect a lot from the parents. The question is school an extension of home, or is home an extension of school? Zara sochiye. So the responsibility is mutual. Schools can play a critical role. It starts from the policy, from the curriculum, from the pedagogical construct. And the question that you asked, Nadeem Saab, was that are we listening to the students in our institutions? It is a question of voice versus validation. It's called student voice. Now, as part of educational theories, student voice and student validation is at the heart of everything that you do as a teacher. Teaching stops, like Abbas Hussain Saab says, once you enter the classroom. Learning begins after you enter the classroom. What connects teaching from learning is the visibility, and that visibility comes through voice, through validation, because we have to bridge the gap of difference versus diversity. Schools, they can do a lot if we really want to shape the future. The question is that are our teachers, practitioners, are they trained? Are they listening to the students within? And I, as an educational practitioner with this huge organization of Roots Millennium Schools, Future World Schools, the Millennium Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship, TMUCs, every day I don't sit at a corporate office. Every day I visit a different city and a different campus, and I only interact with children. First I talk to the students, then I visit their washrooms. After that I talk to the teachers, and then I talk to the school leaders. They're sitting here, but I don't listen much, I don't take much feedback from the school leaders. I rather take feedback holistically from the school. Let's talk about the national issue. The national issue is with vis-a-vis youth. Firstly, you need to know the numbers. 15,000 young people are turning 18 every day. Every day, 15,000 people are becoming 18 years old. Every month, it's almost 450,000, 500,000 young people. National sport in Pakistan, people say it's cricket or hockey. It's the population. Look at the size of the student population that we have in the country. Now, the question is that do we need one size fit all? We don't need one size fit all. And recently we had this single national curriculum, and I was a member of that committee, and I said, what good is enforced uniformity in absence of informed unity? What good is enforced uniformity? And Dr. Bari has written a lot of interesting articles and pieces over there. So for me, I think what is important is that we need to prepare our teachers, practitioners, and parents as well on how to listen to our voices of our young people. We do not allow inquiry, we don't allow curiosity, questioning. And there was a World Bank report or a United Nations report which talked about critical thinking. And they did some research in Pakistan, and without realizing what as parents, what we do, we use 3 words in our households. One is chup ho jao, the other one is baith jao, a third one, a boy called Dr. Adil Najam, who became the Vice Chancellor of Lums University. Who are the people? My mom, who founded the school, Beacon House City School, all the founders, they've all studied from state schools or missionary schools. I went to an army public school, community schools. So education is a mutual responsibility by the development sector, by the social sector, by the private sector. Amazing work this Nixa College is doing. The students are so self-actualized, independent thinkers. Dr. Bari is an amazing writer. He's always at the top of any development in education. So my question is that please kindly allow your children to be different. We have a Sancha approach, cube box approach. हर क्यूब बॉक्स निकालते हैं, पानी डालते हैं, सारे बच्चों को एक क्यूब की तरह हम उनको परवरिश करना चाहते हैं. क्यूब डाली जाओ और बच्चे बनाई जाओ. उसके बाद आप लोग बच्चों को प्रेजेंस नहीं देते, यू गिव देम प्रेजेंट्स. Give your children presents. That's what they need, not your presents. Don't make a comparison of children. And the third thing is this joint family system, social pressure. कराची में मैं मजाक करता हूँ, बच्चा पैदा होता है, एक कान में अजान, दूसरे कान में आगा खान. एक बच्चा पैदा हुआ, एक गुटकी, दूसरे से IBA. इतना social pressure आपने बच्चों पे डाला हुआ है. And then there is a comparison. Allow children's difference and diversity. And इनके लिए दुआ करें क्योंकि नसीब अपना अपना होता है. Allow their questioning, the critical thinking. So our education systems, are we doing? No, we are preparing them holistically for the grades. Why do we need those grades? What Nadeem Saab said, because the higher education system is all rigged. All these universities, including Harvard, Oxford and Cambridge, they'll talk a lot about compassion and rights and equity, but the entry system is all based on grades. So they talk about MOOCs, all drama. No Harvard, no Princeton, no Yale, no MIT. Tell them this is a talented young boy from Sakkar. Ask them to take the boy. You have to get SATs. You have to have those grades and excellence. So once the universities will change their admission policies, then only the education system will evolve and go beyond grades as well. And we must inculcate and incubate new ideas. And let me repeat, this is absolutely pathetic that we are living in today's time and age and people don't have the right to freedom of franchise to go to a school. किस जिंदा माशरे में होता है? We have so many cars, hotels, restaurants. Look at our weddings. We had कुर्बानी $1 billion की हमने बकरे ज़बा किए, $1 billion. We spent on the Qurbani, which is good. We spend so much on charity, but in which country you have out of school children? We must give them the franchise, the entitlement, their democratic, fundamental human right as the citizen imbued and embedded in the constitution of Pakistan. They must have access to education. This drama must end. Then we have ghost schools. Then we have public sector, lack of funding and everything. So we need to come together. We are fighting issues like polio in today's time and age. Sorry. So let me conclude on this. So you like the way we are fighting polio in today's time and age. We also need to fight for literacy and for human development. Thank you.
बहुत शुक्रिया. अच्छा जी, so there's 15, say 18 minutes left. Maybe what we can do is get 3-4 questions, then ask the panel to respond. एक एक किया तो फिर मुश्किल हो जाएगी क्योंकि जवाब लंबे होते हैं, इसलिए 3-4 सवाल इकट्ठे कर लें. किसी यहाँ माइक अगर और लोग अगर हाथ खड़ा करें ताकि जी यहाँ से शुरू कर लीजिए आगे. बिस्मिल्लाह.
My name is Arif Naqvi. I have a question from Bari Saab aap se bhi, Nadeem Saab, Faisal Saab se bhi. We see mushroom of schools, colleges and universities. Do we really need all these schools, universities, or do we need vocational institutes more? And one more thing. We used to have subject civics in our school time, and we used to have scouting in our school. Ab wo khatam ho gaya hai, and we see there is chaos in our society. हर कोई कहता है कि मैं चला जाऊं, दूसरा ना जाए. I live in a high-end society. वहाँ के पर अपार्टमेंट में से ऊपर जो है वो थैले में अपना घर का कचरा डाल के वो फेंक देते हैं. तो are we teaching these things in our schools? अपने बच्चों को बता रहे हैं या नहीं बता रहे हैं?
बहुत शुक्रिया. जी मैम.
जी. I've been listening to the conversation and we've been talking about resilience, great in terms like these and relationships. But do we have the skill-based people to actually provide these skills? Because this is based in theories. I'm a psychologist, a practicing psychologist, and I've been learning so much about myself while studying. And you know, the relationships, like people come to us for therapy and So the question is, the question is, do we have the skills? And like you said, we are expecting too much from schools. Yes, we are, because the mothers and the parents do not know how to handle kids. They do not know how to build up the relationship skills that the kids need.
वो पीछे हाथ पीछे देखिए. बेटा इधर दे दीजिए. जी.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
वालेकुम सलाम.
मेरा नाम ज़ैनब हमीद है. I run an organization called T Square. अस्सलाम वालेकुम फरियाद. So interestingly, हमने बहुत सारी बात की redesigning learning for tomorrow. I'm running an edtech platform which is focused on literacy. बहुत लोगों ने कहा 26 मिलियन बच्चे कैसे पढ़ेंगे? तो I thought technology could be one solution. हमने यहाँ पे कोई बात नहीं की. Why aren't we talking about hybrid? Why aren't we talking about scaling using technology?
ठीक. बिल्कुल ठीक जी.
आपका टॉपिक है रीडिज़ाइनिंग लर्निंग फॉर टुमारो. अगर मैं इस हवाले से बात करूं तो सबसे पहले यहाँ मेरे दिमाग में जो सवाल उठता है वो ये है, हमारा निसाब तालीम, वो निसाब तालीम जो मैंने पढ़ा और जो नस्ल दर नस्ल जहालत का सिस्टम हमारी नस्लों में मुंतकिल हो रहा है, वो कब चेंज होगा? क्योंकि वो सिस्टम हमें सिर्फ़ और सिर्फ 2 चीज़ें सिखाता है कि इंडिया हमारा दुश्मन है, कश्मीर हमारा अटूट अंग है, एंड ऑल दैट. यही सारी बकवासियात. आई एम सॉरी टू से, क्योंकि मेरे ख्याल में अकॉर्डिंग टू द नीड ऑफ टाइम हमें इस सब को बदलना है और अपने बच्चों को इस सिस्टम से इस निसाब को चेंज करने की ज़रूरत है.
बिल्कुल ठीक. सो सिविक्स पे पहला सवाल आया, वोकेशनल एजुकेशन पे फिर बात हुई, अभी करिकुलम रिव्यू की भी, और कैन वी टीच एक्चुअली ग्रेट एंड रेजिलियंस, और फिर पीछे सवाल कि भाई टेक्नोलॉजी का क्या रोल है. तो आप में से अगर कोई जैसे आप मुनासिब समझे. जी नदीम साहब.
Let me jump in on.
जी.
आपने सब एक सवाल किया about civics class. Certainly हो सकती है class, right? But all schools are microcosms, they're communities that represent the city, they represent the country. So my personal take on this is it doesn't have to be a class, but it has to matter. Our impact, our footprint on how we impact the lives of those around us has to matter. People have to be held accountable for that. They have to be celebrated for doing the right things. And again, going back to, if the only thing we recognize and celebrate is academic achievement, तो वो बच्चा वही करेगा, right? Because they're good kids. We're fortunate to have youth that listens to us. But एक ही चीज़ को अगर हम अहमियत देंगे, अब देखें जब results आते हैं Cambridge के, I mean, there are banners the size of buildings advertising grades and distinctions, right? I'll give you एक example. There was a student, मेरे school का, he used to get into trouble in and out काफ़ी दफ़ा. And very close to his graduation, I found out कि इस बच्चे ने अपना iPhone बेच के एक और दोस्त की फीस पे की. Right? Where does that get recognized? Right? Empathy, right? Where does, if you litter, it's not just about hygiene, it's about respect. How does that get? So आप एक class ज़रूर पढ़ा सकते हैं, but educators have the opportunity every single day to celebrate students who quietly do things for their communities and make them the heroes in school. अगर आपको student government का president है, उसके लिए आप नहीं बाहर रखें कि भाई इसका A आना ज़रूरी है, but see how much effort that boy or girl puts into taking care of his peers, his seniors and juniors. And the final example is, I was hiring a teacher, हम देख रहे थे कि भाई project-based learning वगैरह, और incidentally I was having a discussion with an Islamiyat teacher, right? और मैंने पूरा अपना स्कूल का कल्चर फिलॉसफी बताई कि वी वांट टू बी एबल टू हैव प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड लर्निंग. तो टीचर ने कहा कि देखें ये साइंस में तो हो सकता है, पर इस्लामियात में कैसे प्रोजेक्ट एंड एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड लर्निंग होगी. एंड माय पॉइंट वाज, इफ इस्लामियात इज नॉट एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड, then what are we doing, right? I think we just keep forgetting that everything doesn't have to be a class. It just, application is all around us, and we've got to truly recognize kids who go out of their way to do something amazing for people around them. And schools have to have that culture. Miss, aapka ek sawal tha, how do we train teachers? A culture, a resident culture is critically important. And if the teacher turnover in a school is 20-30%, aapka culture kabhi ban nahi payega. So teachers ki agar hum khidmat kare, and making sure they love being in your school, pay them fairly so that the turnover is less, and eventually एक resident culture आपका बनेगा, and that culture जो भी आप emphasize करना चाहें, that culture will emphasize that, right? And if it needs to be A star at any cost, तो फिर वो भी हो जाएगा, but if it's recognize awesome kids, वो भी बन जाएगा.
बहुत शुक्रिया नदीम साहब. अच्छा Myra, if I may ask you to address whether grit is teachable, and also then I'll come Khadija to you. Ji Myra.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just want to address one thing as well that a lot of people have mentioned. You know, it's very easy, it's not easy, but I'm sure it's still difficult, but you know, the things we're talking about in elite private schools implementing, you have 25, I think it's actually 22 million kids out of school right now, and then you have, what was it, 77% in learning poverty right now. It is impossible to try, it is not impossible, it's very difficult to try and get a policy that's going to impact all of Pakistan when we still haven't figured out in our high-performing schools how we're going to do these things. So I mean, I'm just bringing my perspective. I work on a very national level in all these countries. So it's very nice to say, oh yes, we need this, we need that, but the implementation, I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of schools, you have millions of children, like that's what we're thinking about. And the other thing is, you know, the way, if you examine societies that have succeeded in bringing up literacy levels, bringing up education levels, it is not by taking the people in high performing schools up, it's by bringing the kids in the lowest performing areas up as well. Our kids in the rural areas, our kids in urban slums, like that's actually where we need to be focusing on. So I just have to say that because I see a lot of discussion about, high performing schools and this and that, but it's like I focus my whole life on, the people in the most gurbat. So that's what I think is important. And then, yes, it is absolutely possible to teach grit and resilience. We did a program of social emotional skills, which was entirely project-based learning. The way to teach teachers those things, education is a business of like teaching people, whether it's students or whether it's teachers. And so you teach the teacher's grit, you teach the teacher's resilience, and it's all through interaction. You put them in situations where they're learning that as well. And so one program we did, which was a social-emotional skills development program, I did it with refugee youth in Lebanon a couple of years ago. It was sort of a 1 hour a week. We gave kids social-emotional learning skills, and it was entirely project-based. So what we did was we ensured that, they were having a critical thinking discussion about maybe compassion or understanding people's perspective. So for 1 hour, the teacher would give a bit of a lecture and discussion, and then we put them in groups, and they had got some money to design and implement a community-based project. So not only were they like learning theoretically about, this is how we talk to others, this is how we work in a team, but then they actually had to work in a team. And so I think a big thing that Mr. Ghani talked about as well was giving kids responsibility, I think is so important. I mean, we even gave them a budget. There were 10 of them. They're arguing within themselves how we're going to spend this budget. Am I going to buy trash cans to filter recycling in the school or whatever? So it is possible. It's not some sort of black box, but I think we really need a huge, strong political will and commitment across all our hundreds of thousands of schools at the national level, at the provincial level, to kind of make these things happen.
खदीजा, मैं अभी आता हूँ फैसल साहब. खदीजा, एक सवाल जो था वो आउट ऑफ स्कूल जो इतने नंबर हैं और टेक्नोलॉजी का रोल उसमें क्या हो सकता है. तो एनी थॉट्स ऑन दैट फॉर कि भी टेक्नोलॉजी के ज़रिए हम आपने कोविड में भी सिंस यू वर्क विद गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स विद वेयर देयर आर इश्यूज ऑफ एक्सेस ज़्यादा हैं, तो क्या टेक्नोलॉजी कैन प्ले दैट रोल?
जी, आई थिंक टेक्नोलॉजी का आज की दुनिया में किसी ना किसी तरह से रोल तो बनेगा ही किसी भी सोल्यूशन के अंदर, बिकॉज टेक्नोलॉजी यूबिक्विटस है, एंड सो नो सोल्यूशन, नो आंसर, to whatever extent it's an answer actually, even if it's to part of the problem, can exist without technology. But I think the challenge that you are raising, Dr. Bari, is a very, very real one. We were I'm talking right now about Islamabad public schools, and when COVID happened, we were the first people to pivot to teaching remotely, and we realized that only 33% of our kids had access to a smartphone, and then उसका भी एक छोटा परसेंटेज था जिनके पास रिलायबल इंटरनेट था ताकि वो स्मार्टफोन को लर्निंग के लिए इस्तेमाल कर सकें. एंड यू टॉकिंग अबाउट द कैपिटल सिटी. सो आई थिंक द रियलिटी इज़ दैट द डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर is part of the same systemically inequitable system that the rest of education is a part of, and so limited है उसकी coverage. And so I think technology अभी हमें time लगेगा as a country कि टेक्नोलॉजी का जो फुल पोटेंशियल हम कैसे मैक्सिमाइज कर सकते हैं फॉर द बॉटम ऑफ द पिरामिड, फॉर द किड इन द अर्बन स्लम्स एंड in our rural most far flung areas, as Myra was pointing out. How do we make technology work for that? I think the only other thing that I'd like to add very quickly, I think there was a question here, lots of questions come up every time you talk about education on a panel like this, about कि क्या हम civic responsibility पढ़ा रहे हैं कि नहीं पढ़ा रहे हैं. And I think उसके अंदर सिर्फ मैं एक बात करूँगी कि Teach for Pakistan relies on young people from all socioeconomic backgrounds, but often from middle income, higher income backgrounds, to come and do this work, to come and commit to teaching in difficult circumstances. And uske andar jo sabse bada barrier aata hai wo family or parental pressure aata hai. Because while we like to sit and talk about how all kids should be responsible and carry a civic mentality, when push comes to shove, where the rubber meets the road, when it comes to taking a personal risk or a personal sacrifice, I don't think that the majority of us are put our kids in the position to go out and have the kind of real life experiences and engage in ways that will be so enriching and meaningful for their own lives. And I think so that is going to be my request and my invitation to the parents and other people who have or influence over the young people in your life. Let them take a shot. Let them take a shot at venturing outside of the comfort and safety that we all want for our kids. I think it's going to be doubly enriching for them and for Pakistan.
If I may just request you to hold on. एक यहाँ छोटी सी बच्ची का सवाल था जो मैं स्पेशली ज़रूर लेना चाहूँगा. आपने कुछ कहना था बेटा. Please go ahead.
So I want to be like Faisal Mushtaq. How can I?
Sorry, I didn't.
I got the question.
Tell him.
I'm a teacher.
I'm Pihu.
Okay. Beta,
From Roots Millennium School.
yeah, I know you. I have seen you in school. You study in Roots Millennium School, Behriya Town, Karachi. And you're here from all the way from America studying there. So I'll give you the trick how to be a teacher, how to be... to conclude, you know, Dr. Saab ne mauka diya. Thank you so much. Let me demystify some myths in Pakistan. Pakistan is not happening. It is happening. Everything is on an app. From Food Panda to Careem to clothes to books and now Rishta, Dil Ka Rishta. Pakistan is not happening. It is happening. Jab bhi word use kare, copyright mujhe dena. Number 2. Technology is an enabler, is a facilitator. Clearly, through tech, you will be able to reach out for the lack of equity and for inclusion for the out-of-school children to deal with learning poverty, learning losses, and our access issues as well. But remember that the teachers, they are digital immigrants. The children, they are digital natives. बच्चे टेक्नोलॉजी में पैदा हुए हैं और असातिज़ा ने इमिग्रेशन हासिल की है, वीज़ा लेके आप आए हैं टेक्नोलॉजी में. Next point, we are teaching not just in Pakistan, around the world. At times we are a little harsh with our own country. Anywhere around the world, we are teaching children on an 18th century calendar with a 19th century curriculum. 20th century teachers are teaching the 21st century children. तो क्या ये खुला तज़ाद नहीं? ज़ाहिरी बात है, सब स्टेक होल्डर्स को इवॉल्व करना पड़ेगा. दूसरा सवाल कि आपने कहा कि जी स्कूल की जिम्मेदारी है, बेशक है. मैं हमेशा मजाक करता हूँ, हमारे मुल्क में बच्चा पैदा होने के बाद फादर हजरात मोस्टली बच्चा फ्रेंचाइज पे बेगम को दे देती है और बेगम आगे फ्रेंचाइज पे बच्चे स्कूल को दे देती है. और स्कूल के अंदर जो मेन गेम चेंजर है वो असातिज़ा. एंड बिकॉज यू नीड टू फाइंड आउट वेयर डू वी हैव टीचर्स बाय डिज़ाइन or do we have teachers by default? Do we have teachers by choice or do we have teachers by chance? ये जो खतीजा साहिबा जो काम कर रहे हैं, ये this is now a new generation of young people are coming into education. इन्होंने सही कहा, the teaching now needs to be validated, moderated, regulated, and the government was trying to do so many other things, and I did propose to the government that you should have teacher licenses so that जैसे आप एक बार लाइसेंस लेते हो, बार का हाई कोर्ट बार, not the other one. So आप बार लाइसेंस लेते हो, आप सिविल एविएशन लाइसेंस लेते हो, you want to be a nurse, you want to be a paramedic, you go through training and certification. So we should also regulate the teaching industry, and it goes in the interest of everyone. Pakistan is going through this phase of awareness and advocacy and sensitization, and I see that we will be able to meet our challenges. Thank you.
Shukriya, Faisal. So, now it's my pleasant duty to thank everyone, the panelists who joined us today, and all of you for taking on something like an education issue. तालीम पे बात अब ज़्यादा शुरू हुई है, उम्मीद है और ज़्यादा होगी, और किसी वक्त वो बात जो है वो जो हमारे बड़े मसाइल हैं उन पे किसी ना किसी तरह असर भी डाल के उनको किसी हल की तरफ लेके जाएगी. वरना अगर सिर्फ वो क्या नशिस्तन गुफ्तन बर्खास्तन अगर वहाँ तक बात रही तो फिर बात नहीं बनेगी, क्योंकि जितना ज़्यादा जो फैसल साहब ने कहा कि भाई एक साल में तकरीबन 6 मिलियन नया बच्चा आ रहा है पाकिस्तान में, जो 5 साल बाद स्कूल आएगा और अगले 15-16 साल स्कूलों में कॉलेजों में रहना है। पाइपलाइन ये है, और जो स्टॉक है वो इस वक्त 26 मिलियन का पहले ही स्कूलों से बाहर है। तो कल का पाकिस्तान क्या होगा? अगर आज नहीं हम सोचेंगे, आज दरख्त नहीं लगाएंगे, तो कल फिर हमें फल भी नहीं मिलेगा। बहुत शुक्रिया आप सबका, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Tin tin